Introducing Atomic Habits by James Clear. My story. On the final day of the year at high school, I was hit in the face by a baseball bat as my classmate took a full swing. The bat slipped out of his hand and came flying towards me before striking me directly between the eyes. I have no memory of the moment of impact. The bat smashed into my face with such force that it crushed my nose into a distorted shape. The collision affected the soft tissue of my brain, slamming into the inside. I could feel the breakage of my skull. Immediately, a wave of swollen sludge raved my head. In the fraction of a second, I have a broken nose, multiple skull fractures, and 2 shadowed eyeball sockets falling out. I could feel the pain. When I opened my eyes, I saw people staring at me and running over to help me. I looked down and noticed a spot of red on my clothes. One of my classmates quickly took his shirt off his bag and handed it over to me. I used it to block the stream of blood gushing from my nose. Shocked and confused, I was unaware of how badly I was injured. My teacher swung his hand round my shoulder, and we both began the long walk to the nurse's office, across the field, down the hill and back into the school. Random hands touched my sides, holding me upright. We took our time and walked slowly. At this point, nobody realized that every minute mattered to my life. When we arrived at the nurse's office, she asked me a few questions. What year is it? 1998, I answered. It was actually 2002. Who is the President of the United States? Bill Clinton, I said. The correct answer was George W. Bush. What is your mom's name? I stuttered. 10 seconds passed. Purdy, I said casually, ignoring the fact that it has taken me 10 seconds to remember my own mother's name. That is the last question I remember. My body wasn't able to handle the rapid swelling in my brain, and I lost consciousness before the ambulance could arrive. Minutes later, I was carried out of school and taken to the local hospital. Shortly after arriving, my body began to shut down. I struggled with basic functions like swallowing and breathing. That was my first seizure of the day. Then finally, I stopped breathing entirely. The doctors hurried to supply me with oxygen. They also decided that the local hospital was not equipped to handle the situation I was in, so they ordered a helicopter to fly me to a larger hospital in the Centenary. I was immediately rolled out of the emergency room doors and towed through the helipad across the street. The stretcher rolled and bumped as one nurse rolled the stretcher. The other held my hand, giving each breath to my life. My mother, who had arrived at the hospital a few moments before, climbed into the helicopter beside me. Remained unconscious, unable to breathe on my own. She held my hand during the flight. My mother and I rolled in the helicopter. My father had to rush back home to my brother and sister to break the news to them. He choked back tears as he explained to my sister that he would miss her 8th grade graduation ceremony. After passing my siblings off to the family and friends, he drove to Centenary to meet my mother. When my mother and I landed in the roof of the hospital, a team of 20 doctors and nurses sprinted up to the helipad and wheeled me into the trauma units. By this time, the swelling in my head has become so severe that it was having repeated post-traumatic seizures. My broken nose needed to be fixed. I was in no condition to undertake surgery. After that, I felt another seizure, making it the third seizure of the day. I was put into a medically induced coma and placed on ventilator. My parents were no strangers to this hospital. 10 years earlier, they had entered the same building on the ground floor after my sister was diagnosed with leukemia at age 3. I was 5 at the time. My brother was just 6 months old. After 2.5 years of chemotherapy treatment, spinal taps, and bone marrow biopsies, my little sister finally walked out of the hospital healthy, happy, and cancer-free. And now, after 10 years of normal life, my parents found themselves back in the same place with a different child. While I slipped into coma, the hospital sent the priests and the social workers to comfort my parents. It was the same priest they had met a decade earlier on the evening they found out that my sister had cancer. As day faded into the night, a series of machines kept me alive. My parents slept restlessly on hospital mattress. One moment, they would collapse from fatigue. The next, they would be wide awake with worry. My mother would tell me later that that night was the worst night of her life. My recovery. Mercifully, next morning, my head has been rebounded to the point the doctors felt comfortable releasing me from the coma. When I finally regained consciousness, I lost my abilities to smell. After test, a nurse asked me to blow my nose, sniffing apple juice box. My sense of smell returned, but surprisingly to everyone, the test of blowing my nose forced the fractions in my eye socket and pushed my left eyes outwards. My eyeball bulged out of the socket and placed my eyelid by the optic nerve, attaching my eye to my brain. My eye was in a distorted form. Ophthalmologist said my eyes would gradually slide back into place as the air slipped out, but it was hard to tell how long this would take. I was scheduled for surgery 1 week later to allow me additional time to heal. My face looked like someone who has been on the wrong edge of a boxing match, but I was glad to leave the hospital. I returned home with a broken nose, half a dozen of facial fractions, and a bulging left eye. The following months were hard. It felt like everything in my life was on pause. I had double visions for weeks. I wouldn't see straight. It took more than months, but my eyeball eventually returned to its normal location. Between the seizure and my vision problem, it took me 8 months before I could finally drive a car again. Physical therapy, I practiced basic modal pendants by walking in the straight line. I was determined not to let my injury bring me down. I was truly depressed, being painfully aware of how far I have to go when I returned to the baseball field 1 year later. Baseball has always been a major part of my life. I had a dream of playing baseball professionally. After months of rehabilitation, what I wanted more than was to get back on the field, but my return to baseball was not smooth. I couldn't play. I had to be placed with juniors. I had to be playing with age 4 grade. For someone who has spent so much time and effort in playing, getting reduced was humiliating. After a year of self-doubt, I managed to make the junior varsity my team. Really made it on the field. I played 11 innings of varsity baseball, something that is barely done. Despite my lackness of high school career, I still believed I could become a great player. And I knew that if things were going to improve, I was the one that would be responsible to make it happen. The turning point came 2 years after my injury, when I began college at Denison University. It was a new beginning and a new place. I discovered power of small habits that grows over time. How I learned about habits. Attending Denison University was the best decision of my life. I earned the spot of a baseball team. Although I was at the bottom as a freshman, I was thrilled by it. I started getting my life in order. When my peers stayed up late at night to play video games, I formed a good habit of going to bed on time each night. At college dawn, I formed a new habit of keeping my room clean and neat each morning. These improvements were minor, but they gave me a sense of encouragement over the years of my life. Once again, I started to feel confident. These habits did not only affect my life, but it also rippled into my classroom as I started to read and made straight A's during my first year in the university. Habits is a routine behavior that is performed regularly, and in my case, as each semester passed, I accumulated small and consistent habits that accumulated automatically and led to results I never thought when I started. For example, for the first time in my life, I made a habit to lift weights multiple times per week, and in years, my 6-foot forest French built up from a feeble one of 170 lean to 200 pounds fitness. I earned a starting role in the pitching staff, and by the time of the end of my junior year, I was voted as a team captain. I was also selected for the all conferences team, but it was not until my senior season that my sleep habits, study habits, and straight training habits finally begins to pay off. 6 years after I've been hit in the face by a baseball bat, flown to the hospital and placed into a coma, I was selected as the top male athlete at Denison University and named to the ESPN Academic Miracle Team, an honor given to just 33 players across the country. By the time I graduated, I was listed in the school record books for 8 categories. That same year, I was awarded the university highest academic honor, the President of Medal. It taught me a critical lesson. Changes that seem small and insignificant will automatically compound to an amazing result if you could only stick with them for years. We all deal with setbacks, but in all, the quality of our lives depend on the quality of habits we develop over time. With the same habits, you will end up with the same results, but with a better habit, anything is possible. Maybe there are people who grew bigger overnight. I don't know them and I've never seen any, but I know that small consistent habits automatically accumulate into an winners and losers have the same goal. Focus on developing your habits rather than setting goals. Imagine your room is in a messy state. You will achieve your goal by cleaning your room. The problem is solved indeed, but the clumsy attitude of leaving your room dirty is still there. So rather than setting a goal of cleaning your room, why not develop the habit of constantly leaving your room clean? Goals restrict happiness. You set goals because you want to feel happy when you achieve them. The problem with this mentality is that you will never be happy when you achieve them because you procrastinated before doing it. You stop improving as soon as you achieve your goals. Point number 3. Your habits changed your identity. 3 levels of change in one's identity. Number 1, we have the outcome change. We have the process change and we have the identity change. The outcome change is goal setting, what you hope to achieve. The process change is designing a habit that is persistent, and then the identities change. The most effective way to form a good habit is to change your identity. To change your identity, you need to follow the due process. 1 is to decide what type of a person you want to be. 2 is to prove it to yourself with small wins. Take for an example, every time you read a book, you are becoming a reader. But your goal shouldn't be on reading a book, but to change your identity to become someone who reads a book. Now, how to build a better habit? A habit is a behavior that has been repeated so many times, it becomes part of you automatically. Here are 4 laws of behavioral change. Number 1, make the need obvious. Number 2, make your need attractive. Number 3, make your process easy. And number 4, make the reward satisfying. So let's put this 4 behavioral change into practice. Imagine you're someone given to the intake of soft drink, which you know it's actually harmful, but it has formed your habit over time. So what do you do to put an end to it? Number 1, make it obvious. Making it obvious is you telling yourself, I really need to stop taking of this soft drink because I know it contains a lot of sugar, and sugar most times is not good for my health, it's not good for longevity. With me stating that I need to stop taking sugar or soft drink, I have made my need obvious. Secondly, make my need attractive, or make your need attractive. Making it attractive simply means seeing long life ahead of you, imagining the way your life will be cut short if eventually you do not stop it. So it is you giving yourself every good reason why you should embark on it. Now, number 3, make the process easy. Trying to put an end to too much taking of soft drink, you can decide to reduce. If you are the type of person that take 3 in a day, 3 soft drink in a day, you can decide to reduce it to 1 per day. That way you've made your need very easy to accomplish. Now with time, while you are taking 1 per day or 1 each day, that's where number 4 comes in. Make the reward satisfying. That is celebrating your wins. So the day you don't take anyone, be happy. Yes, I didn't take anyone. The day you took one, okay, I can do better. Are you seeing it? Make the reward happy. Probably you tell yourself, if I don't take soft drink in a week, I'm going to do this for myself. I'm going to take myself for shopping to get new, change my wardrobe. Just make the reward satisfying, something that could drive you. To change a bad habit, you first need to identify all your behaviors, then quietly be intentional about changing each one of them every day. Then to change or create a good habit, you need an implementation intention. Now the implementation intention formula is this: I will do this. I will do this habit. That's the what plus at what time do I do this habit? That is the when. In this location will I do this habit? That's the where. For example, I will do this habit. I'll wake up each morning to sweep. That's what I will do. At this time, every morning. That's when. In this location, that's where. Now, secrets to self-control. Addiction can be resolved with a change in environment. If you're constantly addicted to something, one of the ways to reduce your addiction for that thing is to change an environment. Take for example, you're someone given to pornography. Don't make influencers your role model, especially if you really want to quit pornography, because you tend to see naked pictures of them always. Number 2 to secret of self-control is making the habit very attractive, making sweeping attractive, making the work or something you want to learn newly, make it attractive to help yourself enjoy doing it. Thirdly, family and friends has a role to fit into your habits. So join a group of friends or people that has the kind of culture you want to emulate. How you make the habits you want to start up with very attractive, make the hard habits you want to eradicate very unattractive. Habits are attractive when we accompany them with positive feeling, and are unattractive when it comes with negative feelings. Building a good habit, do it slowly but never back down. The law of least efforts. Now, how to stop procrastinating? Use the 2-minute rule. 2-minute rule states that when you begin a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to do. It will help you go into deep required focus for the task. Habits can be shortened into 2 minutes version. How to make good habits inevitable and bad habits impossible. Now set a commitment device. Choices you make in the present that locks in better behavior in the future. To get a habit to stick, you need to feel good immediately, even if it's in a small way. One of the best ways to stick into a good habit is making progress every day. It has to be marking it on your calendar every day without missing it, then you should. By the way, missing once is an accident, but missing twice is a start of a bad habit. Having an accountability partner can change everything. We care a lot about what others think of us and don't want to make them have a bad impression of us. So this makes us sit upright to always want to impress. So an accountability partner can help you stay on the right track in developing a good habit. Now, the Golden Leaks rule states, people experience the most motivation when working on tasks that are closest in the edge of their current abilities. Gain motivation, you need to constantly push your skill and performance. How to review your habits to make a difference. Tally your habits and ask yourself, what went well this year? What didn't go so well this year? What did I learn? 6 months later, conduct an integrity report. Ask yourself, what are the core values that drove my life and work? How am I living and working with integrity right now? How can I set a higher standard in the future? Life is constantly changing. You need to check if your old habits are still serving you. With this said, let's give a rundown of the lessons or school of thought gotten from Atomic Habits by James Clear. Achieving a goal is only a momentary change. So rather than setting a goal, rather focus on developing a habit that could last longer. But number 2, the 3 levels of change. The outcome change, which is setting of goals. The process change, which is designing a habit to be persistent. And then the identity change, which is the core kind of change. Identity change helps you decide what type of person you want to be. Prove it to yourself with small wins. Number 3, how to build a better habit. A habit is a behavior that has been repeated many times. So building a good habit, you must be consistent at what you do and always improve on that thing. 4 laws of behavior. Number 4, make the need obvious. Make your need attractive. Make your process easy and make the reward satisfying. 5, remember the implementation intention formula, which is I will do this habit, what I will do, at this time, when, and in what location, where. 6, secret of self-confidence, make your habits attractive. Dealing with addiction, resolve to a change of environment. Remember when we use an Instagram influencer for an example, especially if you're someone given to pornography and you want to put an end to it. And friends, be around people who have the same mannerism you want to emulate. Going further, we set to fix bad habits, make it unattractive. Habits are attractive when it is accompanied by a positive feeling, and it's unattractive when it comes with a negative feeling. Number 8, we talked about the law of least effort, how to stop procrastinating by using 2-minute rule. Saying that 2-minute rule helped you go deep to a required focus. 10. How to make good habits inevitable and bad habits impossible. Talked about one of the ways to make a habit stick to you is doing it every day and improving on it. An accountability partner can also help in changing everything. And the last but not the least, always conduct an integrity report by asking yourself questions. What went well? What didn't go well? What should I or what do I need to learn? This said, we have come to the end of Atomic Habits by James Clegg. I am your host, Miracle Chisom. Please kindly click on the subscribe button if you haven't, and turn on the notification bell, like a video, and share a link to enable us gain more visibility on this space. Thank you so much for listening to the end. I love you so much. Bye.